may have some of these hanging around from Halloween decorations, and you might be wondering what on earth you can do with them besides just make pumpkin pie, which is delicious, don't get me wrong. I also love pumpkin pie, and I have a really great recipe for a vegan pumpkin pie. But I'm going to show you today 5 unique recipes for pumpkin. Also, pumpkin often gets overlooked as just kind of a boring fall vegetable, not good for much else than pumpkin pie and jack-o'-lanterns. But pumpkin is a true nutrition powerhouse. They're full of fiber, full of antioxidants, and also high in vitamins and minerals like vitamin A, vitamin C, copper, and potassium. So really great to add to your diet. They're in season right now. They're really budget friendly. And the only thing they need is a little bit of love, right? It takes a little bit of time to process them. But if you don't feel like processing a whole pumpkin, you can always just buy it already cubed in the produce section or in the freezer section, or you can use a can of pumpkin. So let's get started with recipe number 1, which is a fantastic way to start any fall morning. I'm going to make a delicious juice. I've got an orange here. I think I'll use this little guy right here. Looks perfect for juice. He's so cute. I almost hate to chop him up, but it's time for him to be used. So I've got that. I've got a couple of lemons, a lemon and a half that have seen better days, but that's okay. They're still usable. I'm going to use about 1 inch of a chunk of ginger and this little inch of a chunk of turmeric. And that will be it. That'll make a delicious morning juice, and then we'll get on to some of the serious cooking. So while I sip on my juice, that ginger and turmeric in there give it a nice zing along with that citrus. And the pumpkin just gives it enough of that cozy, sweet vibe. Oh, yeah. This is a good warming, raw recipe. I know a few of you that follow my channel enjoy the raw content. This is a really good fall or winter drink because of the warming spices and the, the pumpkin, the root vegetables really help warm up the body. So I highly recommend this juice. You can put the citrus in or leave it out. I recommend it just because it gives it such a nice zingy flavor. So really delicious. You could add some carrot to it too. That would be really good. Perfect. So I have my oven preheating to 375, and I have just cut my pumpkins in half, and I'm going to put them open side down on a baking tray that I have just lined with a silicone mat. And I'm just going to, that got a little heavy, I'm just going to roast these for about 30 minutes or until they're tender, and then I'll get on to making some of my other recipes. So the next recipe I want to share with you, canned pumpkin is the star of the show. This is always affordable during the holiday season, and this is a great dish to make for your holiday charcuterie boards and snack trays, or to bring as like a hostess gift if you're going to like a potluck holiday party. It literally takes no time at all. Like, you just open a couple of cans and throw some ingredients in the food processor or blender, and you are done, and it is so easy. You can serve this with any of your holiday crackers or some nice toasted sourdough, or dip your veggies in there. It is so delicious. So all that's going in here is just my can of chickpeas, and I wanted to put those in first and kind of pulse them, but I got excited and added half a can of pumpkin too, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and just pulse these really quick. That's all. I just wanted to kind of get them going, and I have 3 rather large cloves of garlic. I'm just going to roughly chop You could use garlic powder too if you want to keep it, you know, super easy, and just add that to the spice mix that we're putting in. But I have some fresh garlic on hand, so that's what I'm using. So I'm just going to go in there with that. It smells so good when you chop the garlic. And for my spices, I have some turmeric, some sage, some salt, and some smoked paprika, and some chili powder, about a half teaspoon each. And the sage just really goes with the pumpkin so well, and the smoked paprika gives it a nice, deep, rich flavor. And I'm going to go in with the rest of my pumpkin. And you'll notice, contrary to popular and traditional hummus recipes, that I am not adding any olive oil in here. If you wanted to add olive oil, you could add about a quarter cup to this recipe. But I keep all of my hummus recipes oil-free. I just don't think it's necessary. I think there's plenty of oil and fat in the tahini, and it tastes just fine to me. But if you want to add the oil, you know, you go ahead. So I'm going to add in my tahini. So about a quarter to a third of a cup of tahini. Oh, I love tahini. I would eat it on everything, on everything if I could. I just love it. So I'm just going to give this a couple of pulses, and then I'll blend it until it's nice and smooth. Just going to give the sides a quick scrape down so we can make sure we get everything incorporated. And I have the windows in the front door open today. It's just such a beautiful day out there. I have all kinds of little creatures flying in, so hopefully none of them land in my hummus, but it's just so beautiful out today. I just wanted to get all of that fresh fall air in the house. So my camera battery died while I was plating this up, so I've just added it to a bowl. I topped it with a little extra sage and chili powder and some flaky salt, and I'm just topping it with a few chopped walnuts. I normally would top it with some roasted pumpkin seeds, but I looked all over the grocery stores, 3 of them yesterday, for pumpkin seeds, and nobody had any. So there she is. Isn't she beautiful? And we'll move on to the next recipe. So my pumpkins are out of the oven and done roasting, and I have just let them cool a little bit. I did set aside some pumpkin that I cubed up for my pumpkin curry. I took this out about, after it had cooked about 20 minutes or so, to where it was done but not quite completely soft, so it can continue to cook in the curry sauce when I make the curry. So I just have it cubed up and set aside. And the rest of my pumpkin I'm just going to add to my food processor. And the next recipe that I want to share is a definite holiday classic, and that is pumpkin butter. We're going to make it super tasty and healthy and keep it whole foods. And this is a perfect hostess gift also, to take to, you know, holiday parties. Put it in a cute little mason jar, or, you know, other container that your host or hostess can keep, and it's just perfect. Everybody loves it. It's so tasty, and such a holiday classic. One of those old-fashioned recipes that just never disappoints, right? So I'm going to start by just processing all of our cooked pumpkin. It's still pretty hot, but I want to go ahead and peel it. And you'll see that the whole peel, when you roast it like this, the whole peel just comes right off of the pumpkin. So super easy. It could cool a little bit longer, but I do have mom hands, so you might want to let it cool a little bit longer than I did, or you know, maybe wear a glove or something. But I have mom hands. I've been cooking a really long time. My hands are really tough, so you know, I'm just gonna deal with it there. I am going to use about 3/4 of this pumpkin, so I have probably about 5 cups of pumpkin there. And I saved out about 2.5 to 3 cups of pumpkin for my curry. And I'm going to save about 1.5 to 2 cups there for my pumpkin gnocchi recipe. So the other ingredients that I have for my pumpkin butter are, I have 1 cup of dates that have been soaking. These are medjool dates I soaked in hot water, and I added about a tablespoon of chia seeds. I have some molasses, and I'll put a link in the description box for my favorite vegan molasses. It will give it a really rich, deep flavor. Traditionally, pumpkin butter and like apple butter, they're made with a ton of brown sugar. So in order to replace that deep, rich flavor of the brown sugar, a little bit of molasses goes a long way. So I have about a tablespoon of molasses, and I have my spices. I have some pumpkin pie spice. I have some extra nutmeg, extra cinnamon, and a little bit of salt. So I'm just going to get this blended up, get this pumpkin going a little bit here. And I'm going to be cooking mine in my rice cooker. You could do it in a slow cooker, or you could do it also on the stovetop. And I'll leave directions for both of those methods, or all 3 of those methods, in the description box with the recipe. You want to scrape this down and get your pumpkin really nice and smooth, or you could just start with a can of pumpkin puree if that's more convenient. And let me tell you, if you make like a super big batch of this and give it to all your friends and family this year, they're going to love you. It is so delicious. It's great on holiday pancakes, holiday brunch tables. It's good on the charcuterie boards. It go with crackers and the different vegan cheeses. It's so yummy and so versatile. It doesn't just have to go on toast, but just on toast is one of my favorite ways to enjoy it. Alright, that is looking pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and transfer it to my rice cooker. There we go. I am going to put mine on brown rice setting because it heats up nice and quick, and then after it's come to a boil for a little while, I'll turn it down to slow cook. So I think I'm going to add my molasses to my liquid ingredients here and blend those up really quickly, because I want the chia seeds to be really well blended to replace the traditional fat that would go in here. Some people add butter or a little bit of shortening. Sometimes I've seen recipes with that. So I just want the chia seeds to be really nice and well blended to give it a really smooth and creamy texture. Kind of like almost a jelly-like texture. So the chia seeds will take care of that for us. So I want to blend all of this up, including the 1.5 cups of water that I added to soak the dates, chia seeds, and the molasses. It's good, and I'm just going to add it to my pumpkin. And this is one of those recipes, if you do it in your slow cooker, you can just let it kind of hang out all day or overnight. The longer that it sits and cooks, the deeper and richer the flavor will be. And that's what you want, is a nice, deep, rich flavor. Oh, it already smells amazing. So I'm just going to go in with my spices and give it a good stir. And it can just hang out here on the countertop while I get on with the rest of my recipes and cooking today. And later on we will give it a try. Another one of my favorite pumpkin recipes is a classic pumpkin gnocchi, which is usually made with a brown butter sauce and sage, which is delicious. It's always been one of my favorite fall recipes. But today I'm switching it up and we're going to make a spicy chipotle gnocchi. So let me show you what I'm putting into the sauce. I just have my roasted pumpkin there. And this will be a creamy, spicy sauce. Try not to make too big of a mess. Little mess is okay. It's the kitchen. You're going to make a mess. So in with the pumpkin, and my spices are 1 clove of garlic. I have about a teaspoon of kosher salt. I have some cumin, and I have some Mexican chili powder. And usually you'll find with the chili powders, if you buy the one that says Mexican chili powder, it's usually a little bit spicier. So if you don't want it quite as spicy, use regular chili powder, or you could also just use some paprika. And I have in here 2 to 3 chipotle peppers. I use this brand. This brand is really spicy, hits the spot, and it's really smoky. So if you're unfamiliar with chipotle peppers, they're just a roasted jalapeno that is in a rich seasoned tomato sauce. They're absolutely delicious, but they are very spicy. So for the whole recipe, I'm using like 2 to 3 plus a little bit of the sauce. If you don't want it too spicy, I'd say if you want it mild to medium, just use 1 pepper, and that should be good. But I like stuff really spicy, so I'm going to use like 3 peppers. And I have about a half a cup of medium firm tofu. You could also just use soaked cashews instead of the tofu if you wanted to keep it a little more, Whole Foods friendly. But I like the little bit of creaminess and the protein that it adds to the meal. So we're going to go in with the medium firm tofu. You could use silken tofu or just plant milk too, like oat milk or almond milk or cashew milk. And I think I need a little bit of water or milk in here. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to put a little bit of vegetable broth. Alright, and I'm just going to give it a quick taste. Make sure the salt level is where I want it. Oh, it's spicy. That is delicious. That is so good. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use all of this sauce tonight for my 1 pack of gnocchi. So I'm just going to add it to my jar here and set it aside while I cook my gnocchi. It sounds like my water is boiling. So I'm just using a pre-packaged potato gnocchi. Nothing fancy. You can get it in the freezer section, or sometimes regular grocery stores will have it in the international foods aisle. Just depends on the store really, but I like to find it, the dried ones that are in the package seem to be nice and light and fluffy when you cook them. But if you can find the frozen ones, they're a little bit better, usually. Depends on the brand and what you can find, but they're both good. They both work. Or you could certainly make your own homemade gnocchi. I have a recipe on the channel. I have a video for, I think it's a sweet potato and whole wheat gnocchi that I make that is absolutely delicious. Would be great for this recipe too. So I have my cooked gnocchi, which I have drained, nice and fluffy and creamy in the middle. So good. Set that aside over there on the table. And I just have saved a little bit of the salty pasta water. And to get this going, I do need a spoon. I'm going to Add some of my sauce. Need a spoon. Add some of my sauce to my hot pan here. Yeah, I definitely won't need all of this sauce for the gnocchi, so I'll save some for another dish. I could use it on another pasta, or it's great as a marinade for tofu.
And I just want to give this a stir and just get it going there, get the pasta water combined there with that sauce. And I'm just going to add in my hot gnocchi carefully.
All nice and well combined.
Very carefully.
Oh, it smells so amazing. Very carefully, so I don't splash myself in the eye with some hot chipotle sauce, which would not be good. I shouldn't even speak that out loud, right? That would be terrible. Oh, and I just want to cook this for just a minute or two so that the gnocchi can soak in some of that lovely sauce. And it's still a little bit much sauce, but that's okay. I'm a saucy kind of girl. I will dip some of the homemade sourdough that I have over there waiting on the oven. I'll dip some of that in there and that'll be perfect. All right, I'm just going to turn this heat down, or off really. Just go ahead and turn it off. It's cooked a minute or two and it looks and smells perfect. I'm just going to add it back into my bowl. And it's lunchtime now, so I think I'll serve myself up a bowl of this. So just a small bowl. I have one more recipe I want to make today, so I don't want to get too full on gnocchi, which, left alone with a big bowl of gnocchi, I could probably eat this entire bowl today, but I'm going to save some for lunch through the week. So I have my little bowl of gnocchi there. I'm just going to top it with some nutritional yeast. Some cilantro or some fresh parsley would also be great on top of here, but I don't have any today, so I'm just going with a little bit of nutritional yeast and it looks perfect to me. Let's try a bite. It's still really, really super hot, but I'm going to give it a taste. If you are looking for a different pasta dish this holiday or this fall season, I hope you'll try this. This is absolutely delicious. I don't think there's anything I would do to change it. It's absolutely perfect. Maybe a piece of toasted sourdough on the side or a nice toasty tortilla. So good. I'm gonna have to put that away immediately so I don't eat that entire bowl.
Next recipe I want to share is also a spicy one, but with a completely different flavor profile. And I am going to make a delicious pumpkin curry. And I'm just going to start by finely chopping up some aromatics. I have 2 cloves of garlic. I have a hunk of turmeric and a hunk of ginger, about a 1/2 inch piece each. And I have this huge onion, which I will probably only use about half of that. But I want to get these guys chopped up pretty finely so they can really flavor throughout the whole dish. So I'll start with my garlic here, and then I'll get these chopped and just set them aside. And I have also put on the stovetop, since my rice cooker is occupied by the awesome smelling pumpkin butter. On my stovetop, I have some brown rice cooking for the curry. So let me get these veggies chopped up and we'll get on with the rest of the ingredients, including the array of spices that go in here. Nothing complicated, but in order to make even a quick curry taste good, you have to have all those really yummy spices, and I like mine extra spicy, so let me show you what I'm putting in as a spice blend. So I have, of course, some red curry powder. I have some smoked paprika. I have some hot chili powder. This is some dried chili powder that I grew in the garden. This is called a dill pepper, and it is very hot. In place of that, you could certainly use cayenne, and I have some salt, and I have a little bit of garam masala, also really great flavor profile, and I'll also add a little bit of cracked black pepper at the end. But those spices you want to put in right away and get those going in the pot with your aromatics so that they can bloom and taste really amazing and get really deep and rich in flavor. You could also grate this, or I guess you could press your garlic through one of those little fancy garlic presses, but I don't even think I own one of those. If I did at one time, it's long gone, so I'm just going to take a few minutes and chop these up nice and fine. And if you have fresh turmeric, I have mine on hand today. It's not always available in the supermarkets where I shop, but when it is, I like to buy it. I also grow some in a pot on the front sidewalk. It's really super easy to grow through the summer. Grows really well in hot weather, and it makes an absolutely beautiful plant. It looks pretty similar. The plant looks pretty similar because it's in the same family as a ginger plant, and they also will grow inside and make great house plants. But it's been my experience when you grow them inside in the winter that they just don't produce as heavily at the roots as they do in the summer sun. So it can be done, but it's basically in the house, just a pretty house plant. And you might hear some thunder. I've got, again, the windows and doors open, and we've got some rain moving in. You might hear some thunder, and you might hear Rock whine because he doesn't like the thunderstorms, and he likes to be like right beside me if it storms. So that's where we are with this recipe. But it's been so beautiful today. If the rain is moving in, I really can't complain. I do want to go for a run, so I'm hoping that it holds off just a little bit longer so that I can get out and go for a run at the local park this evening. But first I want to finish my curry recipe so it'll be nice and hot and ready for me when I come back from the park. And yes, that's definitely thunder, and I hope it will hold off or pass over before I go out to run. Anyway, I just added a little bit of vegetable stock to my pan because I don't generally cook with oil. Traditionally, with a curry, you would add a copious amount of olive oil to your pan along with your spices and your aromatics, but that's not the way I cook. So if you do use olive oil, I would recommend that you do it the traditional way. It does add some flavor, but keep in mind all of that oil also adds additional fat and calories to your dish. So if that's something you're being mindful of, you can just do a water saute or a vegetable broth saute like I'm doing. So for now, I'm just adding in my onions at a medium-high heat. Just going to get those going so that they can get a little bit nice and tender in my well-seasoned, trusty cast iron skillet. It's still my favorite way to cook. I cook almost everything I make in a skillet or saucepan in my cast iron skillet, because when you cook in a good, well-maintained cast iron skillet, you're not eating rust. Don't believe those TikToks and Instagrams. If you maintain your pot or your pan well, you're getting beneficial iron in your diet when you cook in a cast iron skillet.
It just takes a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra care to take care of it, and it will last you a lifetime. In fact, my sister, I'm pretty sure, still has my mother's cast iron skillets that she cooked with going way back to probably 1947. Yes, that's how old we are. So a long time. They'll last forever if you take care of them. And after the onions have cooked down just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and add my spices. Just the onions are just tender. So I'm going to add all of my spices. And I'm going to add my garlic, ginger, and turmeric. And my fingertips are nice and stained orangey yellow from all of the turmeric and pumpkin today, but that's okay. It'll wear off. Oh, that smells amazing. It just already smells so amazing. So this is another spicy dish, but like I said, it's spicy on a different flavor profile from the chipotle. Very strong. But it's so tasty, and if you like Indian food, I hope you'll try this out. A quick curry. There are all kinds of curry recipes out there floating around. This one is super quick, super easy. You can switch out the vegetables and the legumes for anything that you like. Today I'm using my pumpkin. I'm going to be using hominy because I think hominy goes so well in a curry. I often put it in my curries because it has a unique nutty flavor that just lends well to the rich sauce. So I really like to add that in, but you can add whatever you like to add in. Chickpeas are another go-to for me, but I'm not adding any today since I'm having the pumpkin and the hominy. So I just went in with about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and I'm going to cook that down till it turns from a bright red to a nice brick red color. And I'm also going to add in some vegetable bouillon paste. This is the Better Than Bouillon vegetable paste. If I can get it open, there we go. And this just adds like just such a rich, deep flavor also. You want all of that umami in here, so I'm going with about a tablespoon. And don't worry, it's not going to be like too salty because this is making a pretty big pot of curry. Just going to stir that around. And I'm going to add in about 2 cups, 2 to 2.5 cups, maybe 3, about 3 cups of my vegetable broth. And you can use a pre-made one like this, or you can certainly make your own. I have a load of vegetable scraps in the freezer for making some, which I need to get to pretty soon. I just save up all kinds of, like the ends of onions, pieces of bell pepper, whatever I don't get to that's looking like it might go over in the fridge before I get to it. I save all of those scraps in a big bag or container, just right in the freezer, and when I'm ready to do a batch of vegetable broth, they're ready to just go in the pot with some salt, a bay leaf, and some water. That thunder is getting really loud. Okay, I'm going to bring this to a simmer with just the hominy in there for now. And I'm going to let this simmer away for probably a good 15 to 20 minutes before I add in my pumpkin. And I think I'll add some kale at the very end And then the final ingredient, you can't have a curry without some coconut milk. So I'll add that in at the very end. All right, so this has been simmering down for about 20 minutes. I gave it a quick taste and it tastes amazing. So I just have some kale that was in the freezer. I just broke off a good sized chunk of it to add here. And it's just some frozen chopped kale from out of the garden. And Rock and I went up to the garden to check on things before the storm. And look what I found. Not quite ripe yet, but a cute little heirloom tomato late in the season. What a nice surprise. I'll set him there and let him ripen up. Maybe I'll have him a couple days from now on some toast. He's so beautiful though. It's always a nice surprise when you're not expecting anything out there and you go out and you have something to eat. So I've got my kale in there and I'm just going to add my pumpkin. This is a big pot of curry. I think I can get this mixed in here. Oh, this looks so good. I cannot wait to have some of. And I'm just going to let the pumpkin and the kale cook in the curry for about 5 minutes or so. The pumpkin was mostly done and the kale just needs to really warm through. So I'm just going to cover this back up, let it cook about another 5 minutes, and then I'll add my coconut milk at the end. All right, so I think we're ready here to add our coconut milk. Just going to give this a quick stir. See how much room we have here. It has really thickened up. It looks so amazing. Oh, wow. This is going to be so rich and satisfying. Okay, so I just have here my canned coconut milk. I'm not going to use it all, so I put it in a little jar. And I used about a third of it. The coconut milk just gives it such a rich, creamy sweetness. Just that perfect curry flavor. If you would like, you could use a light coconut milk, or you could use just some lower fat coconut yogurt. But I really enjoy the rich, creamy flavor of the full fat coconut milk. It's just so satisfying. Such a hearty winter meal with the kale and the pumpkin in there. So I just have my bowl of brown rice. I just have some cooked brown rice there, and I'm going to serve up some of my curry. And I'm just going to top it with a little bit of coconut yogurt. And I have some fresh radish sprouts for a little bit of green freshness in there. And how good does that look? Oh, this is going to be such a good meal. I'm going to give it a quick taste. Try not to burn my mouth. Get a little bit of rice.
So I'm back from my run. I managed to get a few miles in before the rain got too terrible. And I'm just having some hot electrolytes. This one is just a salted cocoa. Very delicious, very satisfying after a cold run in the rain. I'm having that and a piece of my homemade cinnamon raisin toast with some of my yummy pumpkin butter. And that will do it for tonight. I appreciate you guys staying around, watching the recipes. Let me know what you think in the comment. And if you haven't yet, you've stuck around to the end of the video, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? And certainly share with any friends or family members who you think might enjoy some of these recipes, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Mmm.